Welcome back. Today we're going to do a fly I did for the Jackson Hole 1 fly way back, man, I think like maybe 10, 12 years ago. I don't remember, it's been a long time. And they had rules in the 1 fly, well they still do, but they didn't like streamers. They basically want it to be a dry fly thing, I think. But so your streamer was limited to, I thought it was a number 8 3X. Johnny said he thinks it's number 6. Regardless, it's a tiny little hook. So I was trying to do a streamer that I could fish that would throw some silhouette of something big, but yet be, you know, not that big of a fly, not that big of a hook, I mean, because I think that was the original size hook right there. And so anyway, it was just it's called a sump because I was putting this stuff all together and trying to make this fly, and when I got there I didn't know I had to declare my fly and what it was named, and I said, I don't know, it's something olive. So it was something olive, and so now it's a sump. And the one I just picked up is the one I tried the next year, which both produced really well. And this is a butt sump. It's a butt monkey sump combo. And a lot of my flies, I mean, virtually all of them, I would say, you'll see I layer my materials, and that's what this one is. It's got layers. I do this in a lot of my flies, these same flies, different colors. And I do this in white, olive, brown, tan. I do a bunch of colors in it. So, and all kinds of body. You just free wheel it. Just go and do whatever just put colors you like, and you'll see it's a really easy fly to contrast, make it look real minnowish. You know, you could do this with a lighter belly and do the stacks on the top, make it a minnow. This is another one I did yesterday, which I was gonna do. Got all the way done and realized I forgot the tail. So we're reshooting. So anyway, same thing, but it just, you know, and Jeremy looked at that, and the first thing he says, man, I like that body better than all the other ones. It's just that I thought that was the original color, but the corrector, Mr. Johnny Beaver, told us no, it was actually the cactus chenille. So we're gonna do this, and this one I had up here for a reason, I forgot. The original one wasn't like this. It was tied on and this is a commercial version of it. It's got the horizontal eye. But I did this on that new 7052 because I like to jig this fly. I'll jig it. This is one of my go-to jig flies as far as when I'm faster jigging. You know, slow jigging, I'm not as worried, but on the faster ones where I'm doing this, especially in shallow water, I tied on this ring eye hook because it never, the ring eye, your line is coming down into it like this, so when it never has an opportunity to get off to one side or the other. Whereas with a horizontal, it can. When you loop this on a ring eye, which is vertical, it's always going to track up and down as it's designed to do. So we're going to tie this on a number 2 7052. It wouldn't, you know, most people aren't going to, most people don't jig a lot. I jig a ton where I'm just slow thrum the rod and I get the flies to do this. And so it's just I like the hook. But I like these hooks anyway because they just, you really truly can never get any, it wouldn't matter what kind of fly it is. When it's riding like this, it can never get off. It can't turn sideways on you. And so, but onto the fly itself. So, I already just went over that 7052 on the hook. It's a size 2. I actually tie this in a size 1 mostly, and I'm just out of that hook. So, but this I think is closer to the actual. And by the way, any size 4 3X is about the size of the how I ended up with it. Again, it had to be on a shorter hook when I started, but any number 4 3X long hook is what I used. And so today I'm using that one. Body-wise, or tail-wise, I mean, I'm going to have yellow Marabou. This is a good spot if you got some leftover woolly bugger Marabou because the first tail's kind of short. I'm going to use regular strung Marabou. Body-wise, I'm going to do the cactus chenille medium, the medium-size olive. And again, the one, I love this olive Estes. I love this. I do this for my own a lot. There's several colors. This dark Estes, this dark green. Man, they're all good. You're gonna have to, and if you do different colors, I do the root beer, on the tan one, and I also do the root beer, or I mean the olive Estes. Where did that one go? This olive Estes, I use this one on the tan also, but originally I did it with the root beer color. But I really love that Estes olive. And so let's see, body, tail, the tail's two-tone, I didn't mention that. So any brown olive, anything in that realm that you like. Where are we at? Then we're gonna have some copper flashabou. And so then there's gonna be, you got your tail and your body, and then you're gonna have the layers. What did I do with the damn fly? And so here you're gonna have the layers, and it's gonna be this chickaboo. Now, I tied up a little tan sump, the butt sump, the little one that just to do it because I haven't tied one in a long time, tied one a minute ago. And I went through one of these bags because I'm gonna go through this because it bugs me. I use a ton of this chickaboo stuff, right? I just think it's one of the most lifelike looking materials when it's in the water, the way it goes. Shut up, dog interference. So it just pulsates and it gives you this mottled color that is just really lifelike looking, and it's just, when you see it in the water, it looks like a fish's body. So these are sculpin basically. And so I used to use this chickaboo. This is called Grizzly Marabou. It's chickaboo to start with. It's like a lot of these materials, they change names constantly. And so I was tying this little tan one, and I went through this bag, and I swear to you, I got 3 feathers out of this whole bag for one little tiny fly. For this little tiny fly right here, I had to have 5 feathers. I got 3 out of this bag. They ought to be embarrassed to sell this as chickaboo. If you like soft hackle flies, if you're going to hackle it with, and you don't want it as chickaboo, it's fine, and because you get a ton of, it's feathers. It's not so much chickaboo, and it's so random. You don't know. This bag right here might have 20 in it. I don't know. The bag that I did in the tan, like I said, I had 3 good ones. I ended up finding 5, but it was a hunt. It's 5. So in other words, I paid $1.10 per feather, if that's what you're using it for. So up comes the soft hackle chickaboo. This stuff right here from Whiting, and you get, this is an incredible package. This is because you not only get all this chickaboo patch, and you can buy these 2 separate. You get this chickaboo patch here, but you get all this soft hackle below it. This is an $18. You're going to get a lot of usable product. Whereas if you go with just the chickaboo bags, man, I think it's a really, it's a product that should not be sold as for Grizzly Marabou. It's not. It's mostly soft hackle. Then comes in the Buggerboo patches, the mini barred from MFC. This stuff's incredible. You see me use it in a lot of stuff. This was not available. I'm going to go with the traditional on this one, but as I tied these, I kept looking at it going, this is a good value because every single feather in this thing's usable. And so that's another option for you. And last but not least is the tails. That not only did I do that whole fly yesterday on film and forgot my little kicker tails on the side, then I just tied another one, that one I showed you, the tan one, did that one and forgot it too. So I'm not sure it's that important, but it was on the original and I really like the way it looks. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 side hackles, kind of the hackle you wouldn't use quite as much in your dry flies. I already pulled them out so I wouldn't forget. And they're here on the side, and they're just going to be kickers. So,
don't forget your strung saddle.
Oh, one there. See, I was going to forget something else. All the way through it, here's your fly. There's also a strung saddle, which I've already pulled, with just a random saddle. It doesn't really matter what it is. You could use schlappen on this too, by the way. And so that's going to be the body. So back to what we were saying, and I think I forgot, but you're going to have lead eyes, medium or large on the small. And if you're on a size, if you're doing the traditional, like a number 4 3X long hook, you're right on the edge. You know, medium's what I'd use on most of them. I don't want it to just dive head first really, really hard. I want it to do this. And so I'm using medium eyes. You can go to large. If you went to a size 1, I would definitely go to the large. So just to balance out the fly. when you're, you know, because you're gonna double up. There's a lot of Marabou in that, so when you get in there, it's just a little easier if you do it that way. I mean, as far as blending, it'll do a little bit more dye, but you just have to tie a few and, you know, decide. If you haven't done any, I'd start with a medium eye.
You need to kick those other materials out.
Right. So I'll get you out of here. I'm gonna need that. Won't need you, won't need that. Getting yelled at already.
Starting off right.
Starting now. So we're going to leave. I'm going to start my thread. I wax that thread, and I'm using GSP 100. I just answered an email from a guy who says, "Have you ever heard about putting wax on thread, and instead of glue, like when you in the old days, it would tell you to do that. And when you do your whip finish, you tighten it down hard. It would create heat and it would lock it in." And it's true, and it's funny because I always had wax beside my vise all my life until the wax threads came out about 40 years ago. I tied with it for probably 30 years, and then somewhere in the 80s and mid 90s, and the wax stuff was showing up a little bit more. I kind of lost it because I just didn't wax my thread as much. And out comes the GSP, and I'm having trouble because it was slippery, and I told people to use glue because I'd kind of just forgot about wax. And my buddy Kurt sent me a thing and said, you know, you should probably wax your thread. And I don't know how I didn't remember, because I watched Davey McFeel say, I love that guy's stuff. He's incredible tire, just freak show good. And I even picked up his little thing trying to put the wax. I tried that once, I put it on the wrong finger, and I realized he used his right hand. But this stuff will lock in, it'll lock this GSP because it's so slippery, and it really helps to lock these eyes in. So I always do the same thing, 3 turns around it, let them roll over, and then I'm just gonna figure 8 this, but I want you to make sure that you leave room a little bit more than, not just the head, just the size of the head, but we've got to get the eyes in here so you can see where they're set. The eyes in, and I'm going to put a turn or 2 of hackle in front of the eyes, and I'm going to figure 8 the chenille through it, and then I still got to get material in front of it. So, you know, set it back. Can't really tell you how much, 1/4 inch or so on this one, and then I go over it. I figure first I look to make sure they're centered, right? That they're in the center, and then we're going to do a handful of figure 8s, and you want to get those really tight. And I just do 2 or 3, and then I go underneath it, just like under the hook and around, just like I do with all of them, and squeeze that down, and then put your final couple, 2 or 3, really, really tight in there. If you do it too tight, you can actually cut the lead eyes, especially with this GSP. If you want to hit it with some zap right now, you know, just to lock them, I didn't put any on. If you want to, great. It'll help a little bit, but eventually they're going to loosen up just from impact. So, moved all that stuff. I'm going to do the Marabou, and I was going to pull this out, and I pulled one in advance just to speed this up a little bit. This is a detail. It's a kicker, and so you can see I picked through that bag of Marabou, and I found some kind of compromised feathers. It's a good spot. If you want to use woolly bugger Marabou, that's fine. But I'm not going to use a lot of this because I'm going to tone it with the olive over top of it. And so it's a good place to and I just picked those on purpose. These were totally sufficient. You can use woolly bugger Marabou on this too. But I want these tails, and a lot of them I see they're really too short. I want it about 2/3 of the length of the hook. Single wrap, so you're going to go into the pinch wrap between your fingers, single, then right to left, left to right. Really anchor that down, and we're going to move this one forward. Going to build a little bulk into this fly using our materials. Just move forward. Got caught on that wax. Right, just a little bit short of that. There you go. And now I'm going to put one of my favorite things. I don't know what it is about olive. I think it's, whenever I have an olive fly, I end up putting copper flash in it. I think it comes back, and I really just think they look totally naked without it. And I think it goes back to Madden, Russ, the original peanut or circus peanut. I mean, that fly had so many things unique to it. It had the first fly I saw with rubber legs in it, and he had way too much flash as far as I was concerned. It was copper flash on the olive, and man, I still remember the first day we fished that fly, and what a absolute killing it was. And every time I would see that copper flash, a fish would eat it. I mean, it just like walk or clobber this thing, and I was like, oh my God, I'm addicted to this stuff now. So for virtually every fly I've ever tied since then that had any form of olive in it has had copper flashaboo. It's just one of those things. It looks naked without it. So I'm going to cut that a little long, about 4-5 strands, then you're doubling it over. And so on the original, and I was just tying this morning, like I said, on the OG, I used olive, sculpin olive, I think, I don't remember. And I kept looking at it, and I don't know why I because this is how I did it in the original. I'm going to do it that way. But I kept looking at this chickaboo thinking I would rather that was on the back of this fly. And I don't know why I never did it before. I'm going to do it on this one with the way I always did it. But I think I'm going to switch over and put I haven't tied one of these in forever. I've got like I said in a lot of videos, when we first come out with flies, I tie a bunch of them, and I end up with, dozens of them, and I don't need to tie them again. But I think when I start retying these, and I'm about ready to retie these, I'm going to start using the chickaboo or this modeled Grizzly Marabou, or not Grizzly Marabou, the mini Bugaboo. This stuff, I really dig this. You see it's on a lot of my other flies, ones we did a couple days ago. It's really clean. It's one of the first products, and when this stuff first came out, the barring was just not that clean, and it looked so unnatural to me, when you're used to the natural. But it's got so close anymore that I'm starting to use it on a lot of my flies. But with all of them, I stack my tails. On this particular one, I do about 2/3 of the body length on the bottom tail, and then I want this to stick about 1/4 inch over top of both of them, or over the yellow, I mean. So both of them combined are the tail. That's a little thin for me. I might put another one on it. I'm just going to do the same thing. I did my pinch wrap, my set, and my anchor. Now I'm going to build this forward, and I'm just doing a nice tight turn. No loose turns. All I'm doing is building a little bit of bulk into this body. I'm just gonna, because you're using materials for a reason. That's just a little bit thin. I'm gonna give it a second one. Normally on this, I'm getting pretty picked through on this particular Marabou. And so normally that would be enough. For some reason, like I said, there's no rules. You can't just say, just do this. So you just got to look at it and say, that's what I like the looks of that. Okay, that'll work. So that's a really thin one. I'm going to work it forward about 1/4 of the way. I'm going to come back here, nice tight turns. Every time when you finish, like I just harp on this. I know that it's a little, can I turn that, Jeremy? Just a little? Yeah. That enough? I might be able to see the gouge. Your thread should be hanging right there when you finish every time. Now, third's a charm. Now the kicker tails. And I truly believe that this made a big difference on this fly when I first tied it. Just because I was giving it length. I was lengthening this out. And I make these tails about 1/2, 3/4 of an inch longer than the overall tails that are on there. So just put them on the side. I'll put one on your side first. Set it on the side and and by the way, if you've got a commercial sample, I guarantee you it's got 4. Jeremy pointed that out to me yesterday. When you see the commercials, I don't know why they double them up, but they put 4 on there. And so just get them roughly the same length. And one on each side. I'm not sure on the first ones I did, I'm not positive if I did that. I might have done them with a little thicker tail trying to build, because I did this fly, it was about that long on a number 6 or 8, whatever it was, 3X long hook. And I was just trying to build that extra bulk. And so it might have been that, I don't know. Then I kind of just scaled them down, and I ended up doing this with a lot of my flies. I put one of them in particular, the anglerfish. Man, without it, I don't think this, without those legs back there, it just doesn't look right. So I'm gonna take my copper wire. I've gotten about halfway up the hook. Just like always, we're gonna fold that over so it can never pull out. Work our way back here, getting a little bit of buildup back here. Just cinch this stuff down so it's nice and tight. Don't tighten it so much that you cut your wire. Now I'm going to take the, where'd it go to? This is the Cactus Chenille Medium. It's a olive color. Always strip these things off, get the junk off of there. And we're going to just tie in these cords, nothing more. The wire back here, by the way, is the counter wrap. We're going to hackle this. It's a few extra steps to. When we put it in, we're going to counter wrap the wire. It's going to fight you a little bit. I'm going to do this without the rotary, just so we can see how we do it. A lot of new tires out there, and everybody's got a rotary. So I'm going to do this because when we do it the other way with the counter rib and the hackle, it's easier to do this way anyway. So we're just going to do the whole thing. So essentially, this is going to end up with 3 or 4 turns, depends on how long your hook is, between each stack. So right now, we're going to come in here like every time. I harp about this in every video I do. Grab the tail, you do your first, you put 1 full turn, and you stretch it. Get that first one on there nice and tight. So there's 2, 3, 4 turns. It's going to go on the back side. So I'm going to have 3 on the back side, and I want this away from me. I want the material, you leave it on the back side, and I've got 3 good turns right there. Cinch that down, and now we're going to go in and get our chickaboo. I'm just going to come in, I'm going to take a handful of these out, and so I can work just with this in my hand. First one is going to be, just get a nice barred one. Don't worry if they're a little bit twisted here and there. But every stack, and I'm going to do another fly. We'll do this. I've done it in a whole bunch of them. And I like to take the first stack and go halfway over this, or the second stack halfway over the first one. And I do the same thing with this one. And that's when I was saying earlier, I was looking at it thinking, wonder why I didn't just use chickaboo back here too. I don't know why I didn't on the first one. But this one I want to go halfway over the tail. Just single pinch, set it down, and if you damp that like I did just a little bit, you can see it. I'm a little long right there. Just gonna pull it down, and the first one you can do a single. We're gonna have 3 on here. We're gonna have 4 actually. 1, 2, nice and tight. No, I just dropped that. See how I dropped that? Back it off, and then third one away from you, a full turn, and the fourth one kind of goes over the front. And just cinch it. And the reason you leave this back here is as we go around, we'll complete that. If you leave it on your side when you go, you're going to have a tendency to push your wing off to the side. So this one, all the rest of them are doubles. So I'm going to take 2 of these. Just, don't knock your coffee over. You can tie these in single if you want. And now if you've got, I say this in a lot of the videos on other materials, if you've got some kind of not so great ones, right? But you're running out or whatever, and you've got to use them. I'll put one on right here just to show you. So this one's not really all that great, and I wouldn't use this feather. But if you put this one on first, and you're basically building bulk with it, I don't suggest that you use compromised materials, by the way. They're really not that expensive, and the fly shops need your money, especially right now. But, so now I've got a kind of compromised one, and I'm going to take this good one right here, and I'll put it over top of it, and you'll try to align your bars kind of even so one's on top of the other, and I'll fill that gap, and I won't have wasted, all the material. So nice and tight. We're going to have one back here. We got one more, so we're going to have three. We're going to have a fourth one in front. Again, take that first turn, get it nice and tight, hold your materials. See how far I could stretch that? And it just anchors it. So there's 1, 2, there's our third and away. We're going to catch that material right there. Put 2 more in. And that, by the way, if you want to put single, you got really thick. Especially when if you're using this stuff, if you're using this this mini barred Marabou, they're pretty thick and they're really quality. And so if it's good, you don't have to put doubles. All right, one more. Hold it. You hold both sides, right? You're pulling with your right hand and you're holding the material with your left, and just halfway, 3/4 of the way, whatever looks good to you. Just put that in and get out of there. Layer it right on top. Just kind of, if you do them at the same time, you can kind of layer them a little easier, just to see if they're the same length, which really is splitting the hairs. Okay. Now just clean that up. Nice tight wraps. Bingo. So now again, my material's away from me, so as I start, hold my wing, set one good turn and stretch it and just pull it right into there. Now we're going to do a figure 8 around the eyes. We're going to build a little bulk. Double check. I like to see the bottom. I like the bottom to be, because there's going to be materials over the top, but I like to look under here and see materials underneath that. So just figure 8 it, 2 or 3 good tight turns. Cut this off just like you did in the beginning. Strip that junk off of there, so you're working on that. You can see those 2. Get that flashy one out of the way. You can see the cords right there. So we're just going to tie the cords in, and you won't have any of that bulk and building up your head in advance. And so you can see it's nice and clean, and it's super tight. So you know you don't have any. You're not going to have it. It's not going to pull out because the materials fall out underneath it. So where'd that hackle go? Oh no, my old one. You little rat thing. Oh, there it is. I thought I had it. I pulled one in advance so we wouldn't have to dig through. This material, it's Grizzly dyed olive variant, and it just got almost impossible to get. It's really hard to find these things anymore. That's the color. I like the dyed olive Grizzly variant. So the variant means it's all kinds of different stuff in there. But I used to be able to buy this in these big bundles and get these super quality feathers. It's virtually impossible to find it, but there's so many different. You can use the new, just like this stuff, MFC does barred schloppen and barred strung. I tend to use whatever I can find. I mean, I just look, it's really an accent, but I just like how these are they're just random. They're not totally manufactured looking. So I'm gonna come in here and just hook this from the bottom. Got a little bit of junk in my way. I'm gonna hook that hackle and from right to left, just like always, it's fighting me. Just like always, it's fighting me. Right tight, kind of a little bit close. So I got one there from right to left, left to right, 2 in front of it, and I really cinch this down. I'm going to take this first one and I'm going to come as close to the eyes as possible. All right, 2 turns. I may not have enough hackle with that. It's looking a little short. I'm going to back off that 1 turn there. just tighten it up. Tighten that down really tight, and then we can just work our way back. And this is what I said, why we're going to use, it's a little easier not to use your rotary right now. Just kind of getting, I'm stretching this hackle out because it's pretty short. I would rather have got one more turn right there actually. What is that about? But things don't always work exactly as we plan. We're pretty close. Now we've got I think 5 turns on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I guess we made. That's what we wanted, but it's a little sparse in that hind end just because that hackle was getting kind of thin. So we're just gonna make sure these are nice and loose. All your hackles are. Take your wire and just we're capturing that, and then every one of these that I come up and over, when I come over that Marabou, I try to hit it right as I go. Try to kind of put it right over top of the, get out of the way, right over top of that hackle right there. I'm just double, it's just double securing everything. One right over top of it. And we get up closer to the head, it's not as big a deal. If you were rotary in that, you could go a little quicker, but you still have to work around that stuff. So it's not a huge advantage. So got a little short of my wire right there. You know, I'm always talking about that. Don't skimp on your, like that. 2 things. I didn't skimp on my hackle, I just didn't pick a long enough one. But don't skimp on your wire. I mean, I was fighting that all the way up because I had like this much, and I should have had that much. And so what if you throw away 3 inches of it? It makes it so much easier, and you're so much more secure with your wire if you got plenty to work with there. So now we're just going to clean this up. Nice tight turns, always tight wraps, everyone. And we're going to put one more pair. As you can see, I've got plenty of feathers here to work with. And like I said, when I use that bag, I mean, essentially I got 5 feathers and out of a 550 bag, so do the math. This is a good one on top here, so I'm going to put this one's pretty good, not great. Put it underneath. It's got a different kind of color on it. So one about halfway through. This one much better. Mouthful of Marabou. That one we're going to take, and this one we've got to, don't fight me. There's stuff in the way here. I was letting that fight me. You can see it's layering over top right there. And I'm going to try to, I'm looking at these bars right here. I just want them to be about the same. I had one on the back side, one on the front side. There we go. You just clean your head up. Now, that white bright head right there is going to go away. I'm using GSP 100. I like the clear. I'm going to grab a Sharpie and try to hit a light out. I'm going to hit that with a pen. You can see how fast it just takes that ink. It's instant, so I don't have to have 10 colors of thread. We'll just give it, see how loose that was? Look at how thick this is lacquer. It's like paste. I'm too lazy to run over and throw some thinner in it. That's pretty gross. I left that thing open like that for 2 days, and it's pretty well thickened up. You can take any old lacquer thinner and put it in there, and that would clean right up. I need a little bit more on there. Or you could use your Zap-A-Gap too, whatever you. But when it gets like this, you're really just, it's ugly. It's very easily thinned with just household lacquer thinner, or you can buy thinner if you want. We'll quit fighting that because it's going to get gross because it's all thick and gooey. All right. Other than the gross head that I put on there, that is the Sump. This thing is, again, you can fish it in a. It's a great small fly, and but it throws a pretty big silhouette. It's got a lot of undulation into the thing. It just moves all over. It's got a nice little kicker tail and flash. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I know it fishes really, really well. And it's a simple fly, and it's a single hook fly for a lot of those people that can't have double hooks, and so it's a great thing. So anyway, I hope you like it. Hope everybody's staying healthy and safe out there. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps you out.